Princess Aurora loved being married to Prince Philip and living at the castle. But she missed her friends Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather. They were the fairies who'd raised her in a cottage in the woods to protect her from an evil spell and were like aunts to her. One day, Philip told her he had to visit another kingdom for a couple of days. "Why don't you have friends over while I'm away?" he suggested. "That's a wonderful idea," Aurora replied. "I'll invite them to a slumber party." The princess worked all evening making invitations. She sent them out the very next day. Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather were quite excited when they got their invitations. The fairies arrived at the castle that night with their wands, ready to use their magic. "We don't need magic to have fun," said Aurora. "There are all kinds of things to do. But first, you need to change into your nightgowns. This is a slumber party after all." A little while later, the fairies began to get hungry. "I'll use my spell to make some food," said Merryweather. "We have bread, butter, strawberries, and cream right here," Aurora pointed out. "You can make yourself a wonderful snack without using magic." "This is fun," Merryweather exclaimed as she made herself a triple-decker berry sandwich. It looked so good, the other fairies raced over to make their own. When Flora bit into hers, a dollop of cream flew across the room right onto Aurora's face. "Oops," Flora said. "I'm sorry, Princess." But Aurora wasn't upset. In fact, it made her giggle. Soon, everyone was laughing. The party was off to a great start. "Come over here, everyone," Aurora called. "It's time for a talent show. Who wants to begin?" Merryweather decided to go first. She pulled out her wand and pointed it at herself. Suddenly, her nightgown started changing colors. First, it was blue, then it was pink, and then it was orange. "No, no, no!" Aurora cried. The fairies stared at her in surprise. "What I mean to say is, that looks wonderful, but let's not use magic." The fairies were puzzled. "But our magic is our talent," Fauna said. "It's not your only talent, though," Aurora insisted. She grabbed Fauna by the hand and began to sing and dance. Soon the fairy was whirling around the room with her. "Hurrah!" Flora and Merryweather cheered. Then Flora ended the show with a lively dance routine of her own. A little later, Fauna had an idea. "Let's make a surprise for the morning," she suggested. "I don't want to do anything that's going to take a long time," Merryweather grumbled. "Why don't we make some cinnamon rolls?" Aurora offered. They gathered the ingredients and began to make the dough. While they waited for the dough to rise, the princess suggested they do something else. The friends went upstairs, and Flora grabbed a pillow and swung it at Aurora. The princess ducked and grabbed a pillow of her own. A few minutes later, feathers covered the room, and Aurora and the fairies were out of breath from laughing. "It's probably time to finish the rolls," Aurora said. She and her fairies went down to the kitchen and saw that the ball of dough had become the size of a table. "What could have happened?" Aurora cried. "I may have used a teensy bit of magic," Merryweather admitted. "I just wanted to finish up quickly." "That's all right," Aurora said with a yawn. "We'll have enough for the whole kingdom." Fauna pulled a wand out. "I think a little more magic would make this a lot faster." A few minutes later, all the rolls were done. Aurora and the fairies went back upstairs. "Let's read a story," the princess suggested. Flora began to read, and after a few minutes, everyone was sleepy. "This has been a wonderful slumber party," Aurora said. "Thanks for coming, and good night, fairies." "Good night, princess," the fairies replied. And very soon, they all drifted off to sleep. The end.